Bula Vinaka boxing fans, well, Jake, the problem child Paul, has defeated the bare knuckle king Mike Perry. Now, this fight lasted only 6 rounds out of 8. It was a pretty brutal fight. Mike Perry did go down 3 times before finally being stopped. Now, credit to Mike Perry. Every single time that he went down, he got straight back up and he had no quit in him. But you wouldn't imagine someone who's a bare knuckle fighter having any sort of quit. And he kept coming. Jake Paul was able to land really good, effective, clean punches. He dropped him early, I think in round 2. He was hitting him well with the right hook and the straight right. And he targeted Mike Perry's body. And then Mike Perry just couldn't compete with the skill and speed of a bigger, longer, faster man who has been dedicating the last how many years, 4 or 5 years, to boxing, whereas Mike Perry has kind of changed between UFC and now bare knuckle fighting. So I think the fight was a really good fight. Mike Perry was able to actually land as well on Jake Paul. I think cut his eyes, and Mike Perry had a few cuts as well to the lip as well and head. So as entertaining as it was, again, this proves nothing. It proves that Jake Paul is a far superior fighter when it comes to fighting UFC fighters and really unknown, obscure boxers that have padded records and haven't really fought anyone. I would like to see Jake Paul actually fight a genuine boxer, because when he fought a pretty okay boxer in Tommy Fury, he lost, people. Yes, he got a knockdown in the last round, but it was pretty obvious to see that he was getting outboxed. He talks about greatness. He talks about wanting to be a cruiserweight champion, or fight someone like a Jack Massey, fight someone like a Richard Riakporhe. Yeah? These are people, even a Marius Bradis. But I'm afraid if he was to fight any of those, he would get absolutely schooled or possibly knocked out. So that's where Jake Paul is, if he wants to take this serious. But he is the one who said he wants to be a cruiserweight champion. If he doesn't say that, then he can continue having these fun fights. You know, a rematch with Nate Diaz would actually be a good fight. A rematch with Tommy Fury, or make the KSI fight. That's what Jake Paul should do effectively. But if he wants to talk about winning a cruiserweight title, there is absolutely no way that he would be able to compete with anyone. Imagine Jake Paul trying to fight a Chris Billum-Smith, Richard Riakporhe, a Jai Opetaia. Oh my goodness, it would be death. It would be murder, literally, if Jai Opetaia was to fight Jake Paul. It really would be. And for him to call out Mike Tyson, who's 60 years old, just come out of a medical operation or procedure, whatever he had recently, you know, I think let Mike do his thing. I mean, I saw some tweets by Conor McGregor who takes it a bit too far. I think Conor's just wanting to get in on some of that action. To be fair, I believe Jake Paul would absolutely destroy Conor McGregor in a boxing fight. So if he's trying to angle for a fight, all it is, he's doing this to try and fight, you know, Jake Paul. But he would lose. Do you know what else is? Fight Carl Froch. I think that would be awesome. Look, Carl Froch, and fight at cruiserweight. Carl Froch was never a cruiserweight, right? He fought at middleweight, super middleweight. I don't even think he went up to light heavyweight, or maybe he did against Andre Ward. But that would sell, and have it at Wembley Stadium, or have it in the UK. Do you know how many tickets that would sell? That would basically sell out Wembley Stadium. Imagine the build-up. Jake Paul versus Carl Froch, the Cobra, coming back out of retirement to fight Jake Paul. Now that would actually sell a fight, because you've got young, upcoming, you know, influencer who's not bad at boxing. He's pretty good at boxing, against a former unified middleweight champion, a Hall of Famer, but who hasn't boxed in 10 years? 5-10 years? So I mean, that would just be incredible, wouldn't it? I still think the Cobra will win, even though he hasn't had a fight in all these years, because the guy just knows how to fight and he's got no quit in him. But I love to see something like that. So if he wants to do those type of fun fights, actually do it where there's a chance the other person could win. Not a 60-year-old Mike Tyson, not a Mike Perry, who, to be fair, Mike Perry is undefeated in BFC. And I reckon if Jake Paul was to fight Mike Perry in a bare knuckle fight, I believe Mike Perry would win that fight. If Mike Perry was to fight Jake Paul in the cage in UFC, I believe Mike Perry wins. Just like any other fighters that he's fought, Nate Diaz, Anderson Silva, Tyrell Woodley. I haven't seen Jake Paul trying to fight these guys in the cage. If he was to fight them in the cage, it would be a completely different story. So, it just goes to show that boxing is a really unique sport. There is a reason why it's called the sweet science of boxing. There's a lot of skill involved. It's not just throwing a lot of punches. I mean, yes, white collar boxing, people are just throwing haymakers. But when you start getting quite professional, and Jake Paul's got a really good professional team behind him. He's got good coaching. He's dedicated himself to that. He's coming up against these other fighters who aren't as disciplined and have that professionalism around the boxing. The skill will always be in Jake Paul's favor. And to add with that, Jake Paul is really athletic, being a wrestler, has always had a good natural talent. And so, yeah, the rest is history. But let me know your thoughts. What do you think is next for Jake Paul, the problem child? I actually like him. I think he's a really good dude. I think he's an inspiration, what he's achieved, an entrepreneur. I just like to see him in some actually competitive fights, man. Why not fight even Floyd Mayweather in an exhibition fight? Your brother did it. That would be awesome. Let me know your thoughts. Drop a like and drop a comment. And as always, you're watching Seru Bale's Boxing Undisputed. Vinaka.